yo, yo. Pop the trunk. Yo, yo. Yo, yo. Pop the trunk. Yo, yo. Yo, yo. Pop the trunk. Yo, yo. Pop the trunk. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? The boys are back. You are now tuned in to Pop the Trunk. My name is Vinnie Paz. I'm here with my co-host with the co-most, Mr. Majestic, left, right, left kid. Mr. Brendan
Yeah. What up, what up, what up, what up? Numero tres and stop.
Episode number 3. Irish Billy, what's the word?
Episodio
kid?
numero tres.
What's up? We're popping trunks over here, baby.
We are popping trunks all over the place. People are popping the trunk with us, clearly. We heard from a lot of people. Shout out everyone that shouted us
thank you.
out.
Thanks for taking this ride along with us.
Shout out Alistair Black. Shout out Baltazar Getty. Shout out everyone. Shout out Mac Danzig. Shout out Ryan Rozicki. Shout out everyone who hollered at us regarding big fat shout out MC Esoteric.
Shout out my guy DJ Michael Savage. Go check
Shout
him
out
out locally at
Okay.
Mulcahy's in Wantagh.
Shout out C Lance on the theme song.
Yeah, I don't think we noted
We didn't
that
give
yet.
him we didn't give him his proper
Cousin
due.
Frizz and Scott Stallone helping me on the backups, and Irish Billy. What was I saying, Billy? When I fucked it up. Remember
On what?
when we were doing Pop the Trunk?
I don't remember.
Oh, what did I
Wait,
say?
hold on. Did you do it like your like how you promote your own hidden temples? You call it hidden treasures.
Right? Yeah. I called it the wrong thing.
It's like
what was I saying?
it's like a
Pop
brain tick.
It is. Yeah. It's like what's it called? The hatred of self-promotion, shameless self-promotion has haunted me to where it's a tick. It's like a
It's
Tourette
now a tick. Like I
because
actually call the thing I want people to buy from me the wrong thing.
The wrong
hidden
thing.
treasures.
Right. I
That's
call it
a
the
whole.
wrong
By
thing.
the way, that's on Vinnie Paz After Hours. You can get that. Vinnie Paz
I'll
After
tell you what it was, B. No,
.com.
as much as
Hidden
you're mocking me.
treasures.
Remember DJ Bazooka Joe out of New York? He would do all those tapes and wouldn't talk and wouldn't.
Yes.
He would just play joints.
Yeah.
He had like a 3-part series of B-sides and remixes called Bazooka Joe, DJ Bazooka Joe, Truck Jewels, Hidden Treasures. And there were some of my favorite mixtapes ever. So I
Gotcha,
think when I
gotcha.
go to
So-
Hidden Temple, my brain goes to
Says
something
hidden
I love
treasures.
because I hate myself. You know what I mean? So it's like,
You know that Costanza poster where he's on all fours.
yeah. When he did the pictures for the girl.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
me.
Vinnie
That's the
Paz.
hidden treasures. Oh,
That's hidden
horrible.
treasures. We
Doesn't
need
he
that on
have
a
dress
t-shirt.
socks on instead of white socks?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
the dress socks on. Yeah, hidden treasures.
Guys,
Yo,
before
shout
we get too far, you got a shout out.
I was just gonna say shout out everyone who hit us up that's been listening, man. We appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Well,
want to. I mean, I think at this point it's not a secret. Most people know that we had another podcast called Knock 'Em Out the Box, and I want to shout out the Knockies for following us over here and being really supportive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, right? We got some stuff in store for you for the boxing hardcores. We just can't. Guys, this is a work in progress. So we got ideas to do stuff.
Yeah, we had a little talk off air about adding maybe a companion show. Is that saying too much? Maybe not. A Knock 'Em Out the Box companion show to Pop the Trunk, because we know some of y'all are missing the boxing talk. But please understand, when you're not into something, think of your favorite podcast and just think of them talking about water polo for an hour. While your head would explode. That's what a lot of people that are tuned into this. And same, it's why I didn't cover it on Broad Street Breakdown. I obviously was just as into boxing then when we started that in 2015, but I wasn't gonna drag Gavin and Pablo into that, something they weren't interested in, and the fans that were listening, knowing that, look, guys, as boxing fans, it's a niche sport. What we do here is 3 very close friends shooting the shit and talking about hip hop and my career. So it's like everyone that's listening knows what they're in for. So if they're tuned in, there's nothing, oh, wow, I don't want to hear about baseball or I don't want to hear about boxing. Hence why we don't do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. if B's team, the Yankees, are in the World Series, you're gonna go, my team's in there because it's like
Right.
part of what we do.
I'm gonna talk a little bit. About
Same thing with anything New York related or Philly related is gonna come across our desk, and we're gonna talk about it. But look, we talked about it off air. We've heard y'all. We've heard from y'all. The voices have been loud, regarding, oh, yo, I missed the boxing talk, da 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 da. So for the Pop the Trunk fans and the hip hop fans and people who might have followed my career, no, we're not gonna do,
we'll warn you.
Well, yeah, but I think we're gonna if we do it, we'll make it separate. You know what I mean? That way you don't have to bow out.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm already being bullied by
Whoa.
Irish Billy and Brendan.
Whoa.
I didn't even have a say in this week's. I just
bullied.
got the group text.
Hang on.
The group text just told me what we were doing. I didn't have a
Well,
say.
I think you were resting while me
It had
and
nothing.
Brendan
Guys,
were.
I just wake
We're
up
over here
to,
cooking.
yo, what are we
We're over
gonna
here
do this
cooking.
week? I'm getting my beauty sleep, and these guys not only bullied the whole thing, they bully-footed the whole thing. They told me what we were gonna do. It wasn't even
By
like,
the way,
here's
yo,
an idea. Let's see what Vince
let's
says.
talk about something. Hang on. You
Mhm.
say beauty sleep. Most people say hibernation. So, when you go down for extended periods, Winnie the Paz, we got to wait till he.
Well, let's be real here. Tomato.
But he just gets up. He's looking for that honey. When he gets up, he's searching for that honey. So
Would the
until he gets.
hibernation indicate that once April comes, I won't be anymore? Is that the implication there?
Well, I mean, I think with the recent weather we've had here in the Northeast,
Mhm.
you're not out searching for salmon like you normally would be.
Mm.
Okay.
Do I
I saw
catch
a
it?
post
Do I
recently
catch
that-
it like they do as they jump out of the water?
Yeah.
All right, that's how I catch my meals. You notice it says Pop the Trunk featuring Vinnie Paz. That's true. It's just featuring me. These two are clearly
We're steering the wheel
shit.
here. All right. You ever seen when
I
two
woke
little
up-
kids steal a car? One guy does the pedals, the other guy does the wheel. That's what's
They're
happening.
also younger than me, so they're like, do you remember that old classic Kendrick Lamar album? So these two dimwits, I see something, I wake up and I see Wu-Tang. I go, oh, no doubt. Like, is it arguable? They're the greatest group of all time, or do you start going
not
into
even-
Tribe and
No.
know.
I mean, first of all, if you want to talk about Wu-Tang real quick,
right?
they're the greatest group. They're the greatest American group. I'm not limiting it to rap music.
Right.
They're a 9-piece group
Correct.
that changed not just hip hop. It changed like the lexicon of like my parents know who Wu-Tang are.
Yeah, all of this.
You know
is
what I
true.
mean? Like it's such an incredible move, and I bet you we're throwing the listeners for a curve on what we're going to talk about, because it seems like low-hanging fruit what we could talk about, but what we're not going to talk about.
Well, it's funny because, when you guys, that was part of me being bullied. Oh, it's interesting that this is what they want to talk about. That these guys were already a force to be reckoned with, and running shit, and they want to talk about Wu-Tang Forever.
Can I
went,
explain
oh,
why?
that's interesting. Of course, I think it's important to. I'm just saying, being told what to do and being bullied. I'm reading our group chat as I'm being bullied in real time.
As
and I
we're
can't
pushing your
respond.
head into the toilet bowl for a swirl, you go, oh, it's not a bad
Right,
idea.
and Billy's flushing it.
Flushing it.
And you're,
You know what, guys?
yeah, and it had the blue stuff in it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, here's what Wikipedia says about Wutang Forever. Wutang Forever is the second studio album by the American hip-hop group Wutang Clan, released June 3rd, 1997.
Oh, you took
Loud
my
and RC
thunder. I was going to do all this.
Oh, dude. Maybe we should rehearse.
No,
And
look,
RC, well, I always reid the mail on the other one, so I figured I'd do this.
it's a very important thing to talk about when it was. It's for you guys too, because you're younger than me. So this was more important to you as young men. I don't mean as a piece of music, but that's where I got bullied. Because I'm like, whoa,
Right.
this is interesting. Because I'm already rapping with an album out at this point,
Right.
with something out. That's an interesting thing we're going to get into. So go ahead. My
All right.
apologies.
So pressed as a double album, it was released after a long run of successful solo projects from various members of the group and
Yeah.
serves as the follow-up to their debut album, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Forever features several guest appearances from Wu-Tang affiliates, Capadonna, Street Life, Fourth Disciple, True Master, and Takitha. The original run of compact discs featured an enhanced CD, which allowed users to walk around the Wu Mansion and access additional content. Prior to this, the only other enhanced CD I had was Hell on Earth, was an enhanced CD, if you remember.
I do.
Mobb Deep,
Loud-
Hell on Earth.
Rifkin was big on doing that.
And
with
you
Loud.
could like shoot someone on it.
Yeah, I didn't have a computer, and I think are you a college yet, or were you just starting college?
I was in high school, bro. We like the school library, because I didn't have a computer. I put that thing in there, and I was like, "Yeet," and it was they had like those, remember the speakers that went on top of your like computer, and in the library, I didn't realize those were turned up. So when I went into this enhanced CD, like the whole library heard Prodigy and Havoc shooting people.
I'm a fan of that. Billy, how old are you when this drops? 12?
96.
97. June of 97. June 3rd, 1997.
Yeah, 13.
All right, I was 16 when this came out. Gonna be 17. This was my junior high school. So Wu-Tang comes out when I'm in 8th grade. This is 8th grade to about to be a senior in high school is a lifetime. It's your Vinny and I talk about it all the time. It's like the majority of your formative years. So this was rumored, right? This album, it was pushed back. It was, who knew what was going to happen to it? There was leaks. I got into a fight over this record. I think I told you the story privately, right? I got into a fight over this record. A guy I knew brought. We'll talk more about 90-minute and 120-minute Maxell tapes on here. Had a 120-minute Maxell tape, and it was, I think, every song on both, minus the intros and stuff. And maybe we'll get into it, but Black Shampoo. And he brought it to a party. Someone stole it at the party. I got blamed. I know who stole it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you approach me and say, yo, you stole this shit, and I go, I didn't steal it. Well, then who did? I'm not diming out the person who stole it. You know what I'm saying? That's none of my business. I had nothing to do with him, and it had nothing to do with him stealing it. This dude forever believed I took the shit, and it's apropos because if you remember the skit from 30, I'll buy you 4 more killer tapes. You know what I mean?
Where my killer tape at, God?
We got into a fist fight at a Sweet 16, and if anybody that I grew up with is listening to this, everyone knows about that fight because it went on forever. There was no one to break it up. We just fought on the side of a Knights of Columbus.
Billy,
after the double record had come out, this is the middle of the summertime at a Sweet 16, and if you guys out here where I grew up on Long Island, Sweet 16s they're like weddings. So this poor girl's Sweet 16 got busted up by me getting into a fight over a record I didn't steal. So it's got a huge impression.
Likely story.
Yeah, I agree, Billy.
I would never. Honestly,
I think there's a big chunk being left.
I would
have
if look. Why would I steal something? I could have.
I don't think you stole it.
Made a dub of it.
I don't think you.
No,
stole
I'm just
it.
saying. Like me, I would have been like,
something.
Yo, huh?
Else, I think you did something else that you're leaving out.
I did something.
Mm-hmm. Billy agrees. Or Billy thinks you stole it. I'm not sure. I don't think
Billy thinks I stole it.
I don't think you did that. I don't think you're like that.
No.
I think you're a menace, though. So I think you did something else.
Well, if you're gonna accuse me of stealing and then show up to a thing that I'm at,
no, we got to sling the dogs. We got to sling the dogs.
Oh no, we're fighting.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about at the Sweet 16? Did we push the bar cart from the downstairs part of the and drink in the parking lot behind the place?
And another piece of the puzzle falls into place. So look, they dropped Wu-Tang Forever in November of '93, and RZA has this 5-year plan in his
36
head.
Chambers, November '93.
What did I say?
You said Wu-Tang Forever.
I'm sorry. 36 Chambers, November of '93. Lots of brain farts on this show, apparently. People say they yell at the radio when we were trying to think of the Ritz, what it became. Guys, we're live. We don't edit anything. Of course, I know it's 36 chambers, and it was very important for me. But we're talking about Wutang Forever. RZA has a 5-year plan in his head. Get everyone solo deals off of that. Again, unheard of. The only one that allows this, that offers them a deal as a group. Everyone wants to sign them, but no one's going for that. They want to go, we want to sign you as a group and sign all the individual members. Steve Rifkin goes, I'll sign you guys as a group. I want first dibs, but if somebody else gives an order, I want to be able to match it. If I can't or don't want to, free reign to sign there. So Takao comes out, off the heels of that. Raekwon comes, Dirty. Raekwon. So all of this stuff, Ghost, all of this stuff is coming out in between. So this is RZA's 5-year plan. And then we're going to come back. So like B said, push back a lot of times, supposed to come out in 96. It's recorded in 95 and 96. The flood happens at RZA's crib.
Explain that.
So they're at RZA's crib in the basement. That's where the studio is. That's where they're recording all the early stuff. Okay. I think they did 36 chambers. I think they did it at Power Play in Brooklyn. I know they did it in Brooklyn. So the Inspectah Deck solo album, right? To everyone on the inside will tell you it was done, finished, and it was the best it was better than Purple Tape. This isn't me saying this. This is people close to it. It's better than Purple Tape, better than Iron Man, better than Takao, better than, what was Dirty called? Return to the 36 Chambers?
Yeah.
Right?
Return to the 36 Chambers.
That if the Deck
Liquid
solo album
Swords
Liquid Swords had come out when it was supposed to, it was the best. And Deck supposedly had mad beats that he produced, because Deck was crazy on the beats, which we're going to get. He did a beat on Wutang Forever, which people forget.
Forever, yeah.
Deck lost all of his beats. He had done mad beats on Wutang Forever, and they lost everything in a flood in RZA's basement. The entire Uncontrolled Substance album, a lot of Wutang Forever.
Which then came out in 99.
Correct. Way after the original wave, and Deck was looked at as the guy. Like, yo, Meth is the guy with the most personality, and girls love him. Dirty's crazy. Like each guy had this thing. Dex was like, yo, I got the craziest sword in regards to like, yo, I said, this guy said, look, I bomb atomically is maybe one of the most infamous first lines.
This Wutang Forever is really what got, of course, 36 Chambers and Raekwon's album, he completely shined on. Remember he was like, oh, yo, Deck Bats lead off. You know what I mean?
Yo,
they're like,
this guy on Wu Gambino's, this guy on, you're going,
right.
This is the guy.
Right.
Where is this album?
Right. If it's this record though, because of Triumph and what is the, see now, here's the thing which happens with me. I don't know if this happens to you. I never know the names of songs.
Yo, I wanted to discuss this with both of you guys. Are you bad with song titles? Because I'm going
terrible.
Yo, when I explain what beats RZA didn't do, because people just go, oh, RZA's, Wu-Tang Forever. I go, yo, there's like 5 or 6 beats that RZA didn't do on this, and they're some of the best joints.
And it's also the first time he like relinquished a little control in terms of that.
Correct. There was a couple beats. True Master did something on Iron Man, but he was doing all of those albums of that first wave. It wasn't until the second wave, post Wutang Forever, that you started getting Fourth Disciple, True Master. Yeah.
He started lightening his load, basically. You know what I mean?
Yes.
No puff.
Those guys were called the Wu Elements. I don't know if they still go by that, but True Master, Mathematics, and Fourth Disciple did a lot of stuff that people think was RZA.
Right.
All the Killer Army stuff, that's some of the greatest beats out of, the Wu-Tang or Wu-Tang affiliates, that's all Fourth. And they're some of the best beats. So, look, that flood was catastrophic to them. They lost all the discs. They lost all the records.
Yo, Deck did Visions on this.
Correct. I have, Deck did So Deck did Visions. Apparently, he had a bunch more that were either, they had to recraft them basically. Older Gods was Fourth Disciple. Impossible, which is incredible, was Fourth Disciple. The City, which is incredible, Fourth Disciple. And the MGM was True Master.
The MGM is, well,
So,
because of
guys-
our previous boxing podcast, is
Yeah,
it doesn't make
special.
sense what they talk about.
No,
but-
no,
because none of
but
it.
that freeform style of Deck and Ray is in full swing there. He mentioned Chavez at a Tyson fight, and you're like, what? Do you think Chavez was there hanging out? What do you
Steele
guys
took a
talk-
point away from Chavez rematch scheduled on October 9th.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the whole the it's really them talking about being at fights. You know, he gives a shout out to he says oh shit. Why see now I had notes and now I can't remember. Brownsville representing, when he Smooth the Hustler and Trigger the Gambler.
Yeah, Smooth and Trigger.
Yeah. So the whole, one of the things about this 2 records, I mean, it's a total of 27 tracks. Then you got to, of course, with Wu-Tang, you got to minus the skits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the first actual track is like Papa Wu. Just, I remember when I don't know about you, when I first played this, I got nervous. Like I heard that and I'm like, okay, what's happening? Like what's going on here? And it's just like a long, like almost rant. Then you get into Reunited and Jizza kicks it off. And then,
I mean, the first bar is like he's telling you what's happening.
Right, Reunited,
double LP world excited. Nobody ever did that since then or before. Yo, guys, you have to understand, we were waiting 4 years.
Right, which was a lifetime then.
A lifetime, whole world, a whole part of your life had.
And
passed
again,
by.
like each solo record served at. This is why they're the greatest group, because each solo record just served as like a mini group record.
A Wu-Tang record, yeah.
Yeah, right. And they kept it true, and there's nothing else. Often imitated, and sometimes
Never
imitated
duplicated.
really well, but never duplicated.
Can we talk how crazy you have to be to put out records, right, without you on them? There's 2 songs on the Ghostface record that Ghostface isn't on.
Is it right on Iron Man?
He's not on
right?
Assassination Day. He's not on
Right.
260. You're like, that's so ill,
Right.
because I have these series of songs on my solo records with the Pharaoh's guys, right? And I was like, I wanted to steal that idea and not be on them. And then I was like, nah, just be on them.
Well,
But it was so ill to me.
on Cuban Links, Ray gave Ghost a song, right?
Yeah.
Can it be at a state?
And the
Try
way
to
that
murder
Cap
me?
is on
I
there,
should've
because Cap's in jail when they're doing
Right.
36 chambers. You God's in jail. That's another topic, but since it's our topic, we're going to talk about it. It actually is our topic. You God's all over forever because he was locked up and just got in that one. He literally
Right.
got out and did his verse on
Right.
Bro, I'm going to give it to you with no trivia.
With no trivia,
Well, like,
yeah.
He just got out of jail. And look, I don't know if we're going to do a 36 Chambers episode, so I might as well do this tidbit here. So on Mystery of Chess Boxing, right? They're like, yo, there's a verse open. Whoever's dart is crazier is on this, and in the group, Master Killer and Priest are the 2 guys they tell it to. Priest falls asleep on the couch.
Wow.
And Master Killer writes his dart and jumps on it.
Who wasn't even a rapper.
Correct.
Master Killer.
Correct.
Like learning on the job. Like, I think I
Correct.
could do this.
And they're like, okay, and Priest being one of the best ever, proceeds to get a deal anyway. And,
Right, Heavy
all's
Mental
good at the
was his record. was
Yes,
dope.
on Geffen. So shout out Priest, good friend of mine, just texted me, just spoke to him. But so all's well that ends well, as they say.
Right.
But a bit of trivia, it was up for grabs. Like, yo, whoever has the illa dart is gonna dance on here. And Master Killer, who's not really a rapper like that, just knows them guys, writes that dart. One justifies the homicide as he dies in his own iniquity.
It's the master of the
looks
Mantis rapture coming at you. Yeah.
Crazy. Guys, this would be really ill if Billy was just playing this stuff as we do it, but apparently our hands are tied
We can't do
in
that.
regards to that stuff. It could be real ill. you know, hopefully something plays out in the future where we're allowed to do this, because we're basically discussing hip hop ad nauseum on this podcast. And Billy spoke
Can't
to our
play it.
people at Quarter Lab. We can't play nothing for everything. YouTube, Spotify, none of that. But we'll get clipped and our shit will get taken down. So if you want to hit pause and listen to this stuff as we're telling you the stories, that, you know, yeah, that could have been Killer Priest on Mystery Chess Boxing. Did you know that, Billy? Because
No.
I know you're a big Wu guy, even though you were really young during the first album.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, the 1997 was when I'm looking back at other things that came out in 97 over here, and it's like that's when I was first like getting
tuned
exposed
in.
and like
Is it-
figuring shit out. And Wu-Tang kind of set me in a different direction because at that time I was listening to Tribe, I was listening to
But you were
De
in, though.
La.
If you were listening to Tribe and Daylight, you were in. Like Billy
right.
had a neighborhood menace who was his OG. Your sister's not older than you, right?
She is.
But she wasn't on that type time, right? She
A
was on
little
some
bit,
reg-
but she got me like the first album I ever bought was Mace Harlem World. So I was
See,
like
that's dope. Okay.
so
you
I
were-
was
all
like
right.
listening to that, but then this was like a little bit different. It was a little
I
more
didn't know
hard.
if you were like, yo, I'm listening to Bop, and then Wu-Tang
No.
comes along. So you
No.
weren't fully like a square.
No.
You
I
knew
love
your
I love
wa-
a nice
you,
little oombop though.
you needed you needed to wet your whistle, is what you're telling Brandon.
Right.
at
I
a
was
young
like
age.
I was like divulging. I mean, and meanwhile I'm fucking getting corrupted by Cool Keith's sex style in the background, like hiding it from my parents.
Well, Brendan, that pic of him with the high top tells me all I need to know.
Yeah, I liked it. Like again, to me, the all stars of this record are to me. This is Prime Deck and Ghost. Like, you know, that Cash Rules Scary Hours where they slow fade out Ghost at
Crazy.
the end.
Crazy.
Stacking this
Give
shit
me
finance a
chills.
Volvo. He cop his shit from a small coffee shop in Soho. He
Yo,
still
to me,
pussy. He
you
selling
said it
stuff
first.
up on the Lower East.
This
You know
is
what I mean? Like,
Dex-
it just-
this is Deck's party to me coming out.
This is
party.
Deck's party, and the quote from Deck, and shout out to Inspectah Deck because
Shout out Deck.
everyone says it's triumph, but for me, like the shit that gives me goosebumps is A Better Tomorrow. That the song A Better Tomorrow, and the line that sticks out the most to me is he says, trying to reach a whole nation to break the sleeper hold. Not a role model. I walk a hard road to follow. I sold bottles of sorrow, then chose poems and novels.
Crazy.
Like-
Nas type shit. Not see it.
That's
Yeah.
it. You know,
back
like
you up.
like I remember hearing that. You know, my shout out to my best childhood friend from when I was 2 years old. He is the ultimate hip hop quotable ever. He used to drive. He had a Mitsubishi Galant that he put a CD player in it.
Mhm.
He would drive with his fingers on the reverse button for the the
Uh-huh.
search, and he'd be like, "What?" Like he would sit there like next to. I mean, I can't believe we didn't rear end everybody. No
Yeah.
puff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Driving, because it was just always like, holy shit. I remember when Deck spits that line, he went, yo, did you hear what he just said? You know what I mean? Just kept playing it back, playing it back, playing it back. So before we did this show, I think I listened to Wutang Forever all week, like 5 or 6 times, right? And that line right there just stuck out to me because it's such a beautiful line. And Deck always on both records talks a lot of like regret. You know what I mean? Like I'm going up state's my destination. You know, we got stick up kids, corrupt. He's the most socially conscious, in my opinion, of almost everybody in the group, I think.
Well, when you think of the street dudes, you go, oh, Ray, Ghost, and Cat.
Right.
Deck was locked up.
Right.
Deck did time. So
Did time. And he's also the real like Rebel INS is his tag.
yeah.
So he's also like the most hip hop guy.
He's a hip hop head, bro.
Right.
Deck can talk hip hop with you.
Right.
Whereas some of them dudes are just in their own world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
As
this
far as that's
this
concerned?
is really like his 2 records. He bodies every track he's on. There's
Yo, for heaven's sake, my rap style swing like Willie Mays.
Willie Mays.
Eyes
My eyes
purple haze.
purple
My
haze,
solar waves
yeah.
will burn through shades. Yo, That guy went crazy on there.
He
That
went
was the
crazy.
one. That was this guy's sword was so sharp on this record. I think it has a lot to do with, again, losing your solo record in a flood, losing all the
Right.
beats you had in this record. There's two ways to respond to tragedy like that. Like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna be,
Right.
this is so
Yeah.
destructive. I'm gonna crawl into my bedroom and not come out because I can't believe this just happened to me. Or you're coming out, I gotta cut everyone's head off.
Right. And that's how I felt like Ghost was on this too. Like every song he's on is like he's angry, like he's
Yeah,
mad
man.
about something.
Yeah,
you know what I
man.
mean? Like, and of course, to me, Ghost was like that. He's just like a superhero. You know what I mean? And he's
Yeah.
hilarious. But like, he murders every song he's on too. And the both of them, it's like, God damn. And Cap does too. Like,
We have to talk about that fact. Cap is now a member, and Cap's not on
He's
the
a
first
member.
record. So
right. And he was still featured on this.
Yeah,
Right.
he's all over Purple Tape. He's all over Iron Man. So now you're like, okay, these guys are like they're almost a group. These, Ray,
Yeah.
Ghost, and
And
Cap.
Yeah.
Ice Cream. Some people are
Right.
familiar, but they're like, oh shit, this guy's on mad joints on here, including
Capadonna stay chilling, take shots of penicillin. Yeah.
crazy. Capadonna,
So, like, I think
fat bags of weed, ravioli.
Yeah. We got eight ravioli bags.
Yeah, these guys.
Wait,
these guys were crazy with the slang contortion on.
My now correct me if I'm wrong. My recollection was I remember all the promos that they did with Cap. Cap was in as a feature, and of course he's in the Triumph video.
Yeah.
Besides Triumph was the only other video to support this record. It's yours.
Video. I think you're right.
That's it, right?
Yo, let's talk about something that applies to the music industry, right?
The band.
So these guys come out after, we're waiting for years. Every solo, the first record goes platinum eventually, enter
Right.
Wu-Tang. All the solo albums go gold or platinum. Meth went
Right.
platinum. Everything's going gold or platinum. We're waiting for these guys to come out. They come back out. The lead single is 5 minutes plus, and there's no hook.
No hook.
So then you have to go. Now that how do things
And
make
guys,
their
this
way
is
back?
the height. Vin, just remind people, this is the height of Shiny Suit.
This is the height of Bad Boy running shit.
And
So,
yeah, this
Big
is like
had just passed that Life or Death
But his
album. It's
dub-
all over.
his
all
double record
over.
is out. Yeah.
Mace is all over. Puff is all over. These guys are going crazy with the Bad Boy shit.
Right.
So these guys are responding with this. There's no hook.
So there's a Pac double record, right? That came out
Yeah.
the year before.
Yeah.
Then a big double record, right? And now this is a double record.
For what it's worth, I guess on some level people want to hear. I'm not happy about all of this because I'm a believer that there's going to be a lot of fat to trim. That's just my belief.
Oh, you're saying 2 records.
Yeah, the double
Right.
album thing that's starting to happen at this point, in 95,
Right.
96, 97.
Well, like Smith & Wesson put a double record out, right? Didn't they put a double record out? Or I'm thinking Helter Skelter put a double record out.
No, I don't think so. It's The Shining,
so-
and then they changed their name to Cocoa Brothers,
to
and that's
Cocoa
Rude
Brothers.
Awakening. That's not a
Right.
double album.
Okay.
But I'm just not happy about this because I believe there's always fat to trim. That's just an opinion thing. I'm not.
I concur.
And I'm not saying that I was right. I'm just saying what I'm thinking at the time. Now, that becomes a little bit different when you have 9 or 10 members. You know what I mean? Because Dirty's alive at this point, and they're adding Cap. So that's weighing on me. It's like all of those. I found those songs to be some shit on Life After Death. That hey, this is my opinion here, okay? Because I'm not the A&R. And these records are going diamond at the time.
Yeah.
So you can't say that I'm right. But I can
Right,
say in my head, like, bro, you guys remember, like, you nasty boy, you nasty.
Yeah.
On the bit, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this shit is terrible, and that's got Puff's
Right.
fingers all over it. No Diddy.
Right.
But now that in retrospect, we know what was going on there.
Hmm.
But those type of songs were everything that Wu wasn't about, and kids like me and you wasn't about, B.
Yeah.
We weren't saying Big wasn't incredible. He was, but we wanted You Can Kiss Your. We wanted
Yeah.
the hard.
Somebody's got to
records.
die.
Yeah, like
I want
nobody
Kicking
till
the
somebody
door.
kills you. You know, Suicidal Thoughts. Like that's the Big
Yeah.
we wanted. And same with Pac. There were really hard Pac records. And then there were joints you're like, oh man, this is an A&R saying, yo, do this, rhyme over this loop.
Yeah.
So I'm going, there's gonna be, so my fear is that,
like, I can't even, and again, not to interrupt you, but like Sky's the Limit. I can't even like listen. It's so, it's a skip now.
well, it's so clearly, yo, we're making this to, whenever you can tell it was crafted for radio, it's like, yo, something would happen naturally. Like Jay had some hits, right? And you could tell the ones that just naturally became a hit.
Yeah.
You know, like the Ain't No N-Word John with Foxy.
Right.
It's like,
yeah,
that's the chopped up. They chopped Jazz chopped that loop. They went back and forth on some male female shit, but it wasn't. All right, yeah, the hook is a little bit catchy with the girl's voice, but they were still spitting.
Oh
You're
yeah.
like, oh, this made its way. That was on mixtapes, guys, if you don't know.
Right. Yes.
So it was looked at, oh, this is hot. Yeah, did it become played out? Yeah, but it became played out because it got played too much. It was played out because it literally got played out. That's how that slang came to be. Yo, that's played out. Now it just means it's corny, but it literally meant this was played so much that I don't want to hear it no more. That's how, that song was with me.
Mhm.
But I'm like, how is Wu going to come out? Are they going to come out with some bubblegum shit? Oh, man, I hope not. And they come out with that. There's no hook.
Yo, this shit is crazy that they made, we just said, there's no radio friendly records.
No, I looked at all of it. It's 26 or 27 joints. There's nothing like that on there. So we're recording we have an EP out, right? At this point, we're recording our LP. And I'm like, yo, the biggest group on earth just dropped a record with no R&B hooks, no
They
Patrice
comment
Russian
on
samples.
rapping bullshit.
Yes. I'm like, this is the
You mother
we
goose
don't
got
have
the
to do-
Seuss. What he said.
Yeah. So it's not like we had any intent of doing that, but we absolutely were like, yo, is there a lane for us?
Right.
If we don't do that, because it doesn't seem like it. This Wu-Tang thing is, look, in the beginning, we were like, this is how do you word that when something is it is very much lightning striking, and it's
Catching
not going
lightning
to
in a bottle?
Yeah, and it's not going to strike twice, because if Brand Nubian and Tribe and De La and Onyx and all these groups have a ceiling, and by that I mean, all right, everyone that's in this culture is buying this, but we're going to peak out around gold,
Yeah.
And once it gets past that, you're making commercial records like Hammer, If you start going platinum and multi-platinum, it must be watered down or New Jack Swing or something.
Right.
That's what we're thinking. Things that EPMD talked about with no crossover. You know what I mean? Who could go?
Which, of course, is a crossover song.
Correct.
Ironically.
So how do you go? Can you be stars and do this? And our answer from our era was no. Then these guys drop a 6-minute song with no
Who directed that video?
I think it was Hype Williams, and it was like $1 million or $2 the budget for that, for a hip hop group, never done before either, besides Michael Jackson. Other than Mike, it was not, and Steve Rifkin was writing those checks. So I'm at this point, me and Bahamadia are very close. She's got a record out. She also has a radio show on 103.9, Billy here.
Brett Ratner.
Brett Ratner, yeah. Pack him up for multiple reasons. Not only was he packed up before Epstein, but he's all over them.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I forgot that it was him.
I think that's what got him the deal to do
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour was that he made a movie. That shit is so dope. But
Yeah,
I'm
6,
sorry,
7, 8 minute. So I'm with Baham, and Baham's having me up as a guest and to rhyme and stuff. You know, she sort of got a major radio station, but she wants to carry on what Stretch and Bobito and Lady B were doing. You know what I mean? And make it real underground shit. So not only is she a successful artist and part of Gangstar Foundation, but she's got a radio show. So she gets the album way ahead of time. So and she has me up and she's like, yo, you can start just coming up here and kind of being like,
Right.
you know,
Part of the show.
Yeah. So
like a DJ?
Like Rich Medina and I were up there a lot and we would just lend our 2 cents.
Hey, it's Vinnie Paz. We got it.
Yeah, and instead of having, but I was being a maniac instead of being like Vincey Vincem. I wasn't Kasem up there.
Vincey Vincem.
I would just drop little factoids, you know, and sort of like take advantage of my useless information is what Ham was like. Yo, you know about every record ever. So if we come out a break and we have to do X, Y, and Z, you know, so she would have me up there like fair. It wasn't every week, but it was often enough. And it was up in Jenkintown. So we would go up there. Rich would be up there. So I'm hearing this record kind of in real time as Ham's playing it. And it's breaking my fucking brain.
This, Wu-Tang Forever.
Yes. And people are calling in, to the show, not saying what is this, they know what it is, but their brains are broken because we're playing Impossible, the songs we're talking about. Yo, the idea of having 26, 27 songs and most of them being incredible is so crazy.
Well, it's crazy too. And then you have songs on here. Well, you know what else is crazy, Vin? Is I don't know about you, and I saw this in some reviews that I read, that the record is very even not even song to song, within the song, that like a verse doesn't relate to the previous guy's verse. It'll be, you know, it's just, yo, get on here and what I'm talking about is like Deadly Melody. I think Jizza has one line in it. You know what I mean? It's featuring Jizzy. He says, you know, and of course I live in Massapequa. So he did, you know, it's just so crazy to me that if you look back at this record, how crazy it is. And then of course, like what you and I were talking about. So they have like the MGM is a story, right? So that's Ray and Ghost, right? Going back and forth. You go, I go, you go, I go, you know, up in the MGM, coked up, psych, you know, and then they go into it. And then they have a song, he leaves dog shit on it, which would be a throwaway. But then Method Man's got one line in it, makes the whole song.
I think dog shit.
And then Method Man goes, stinking ass hoes.
I think dog shit, if an alien came down and asked me about Dirt Dog, it's one of 3 things I would play.
Is dog shit.
To show his genius.
Right. So to come back after, like you said, 4 years off, right? This high anticipation, and they leave dog shit and Black Shampoo on, which Black Shampoo, I'm sorry, I was gonna say that's my one skip.
I don't like Black Shampoo. No. And I do like everything else, but I love dog shit. Some people don't. Some people go dog shit and Black Shampoo, dog shit and Black Shampoo in the skits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, skits are to be debated. Everyone has different opinions. Some people believe that it's part of the whole story, you know, especially with, you know, with Prince Paul and the De La records. They're very important. Very important. Other people just started doing them just to do them.
I hate them. You know
what I'm saying?
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, De La carried it over into cartoons, into the Dante is a Scrub cartoon about Dante busting Dante's balls. Right. Shout out Dante. But, yo, so I think any of the younger listeners to Pop the Trunk, and you guys will help me explain this. This anticipation about this record, I don't care who the biggest artists are today. And I'm not just talking rap. I'm talking Gaga. I'm talking these huge artists, right? Guys, we were waiting with bated breath. People were waiting around the corner at Tower Records at midnight.
So how did you
This
get
was a
this?
thing. This was a thing.
I was that kid. We cut school and went to Tower Records and bought it at midnight. We bought the record.
So
at
I had
midnight, the double CD.
So obviously, when you have a radio show, it's your tendency to tape your own show. Stoop and I had a radio show in Swarthmore. We taped it, you know, because it's like a mixtape. And if you're like me, you fast forward over yourself. I don't want to hear myself talking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when we would do breaks and do funny shit, I would fast forward it, but it was the same thing of having like a Stretch and Bobito tape. So I basically had every joint on it on the tape from Bahamas, you know? And then I went and bought the vinyl at Armand's on 11th and Filbert, you know, which it was a four-piece vinyl.
Go ahead.
Guys, this does
4 records.
Yeah, this does 600,000 records. It goes gold in the first week.
So guys,
600,000 records.
Without
500,000 is
a lead
gold.
single, right?
And with a single that isn't a single,
right? You get counted twice as a double CD.
Correct.
And well, we'll get into some more history in a second. But go ahead, Vinny. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. I just wanted to say, like, we're up there at Hams, what's called Bahamadia's B-sides. And in real time, we're playing this for the Philly, Jersey area and watching in real time with the calls flooding in, how this is shifting the culture in real time. A kid calls in and he's like, yo, my crew is called the I Ching, the I Ching Click. And Rich Medina's like, nah, man, pack that up. Like, we feel you. And we're watching this shifting the culture, but like you have to understand how to be influenced and
not be
what
a biter.
That word really mean. And Rich said that, you're being biters, you know?
Yeah.
Which reminds me of Beast. All your homeboys are biters. Your moves ain't worth the bit. So what's up with that, punk? So Rich was like, yo, you can't be a biter, but it's dope that you're so influenced by what these guys are doing. And really, we had crews, right? We had Juice Crew, but they weren't making group records, bro. They were a crew of soloists. That's what crews are from my era. Whether you had, when you had that, when you have Native Tongues, there was no Native Tongues record. It was like they were groups.
Remember they were supposed to make a record, and then
later,
they
broke up essentially.
Well, and then really the closest thing would be like Duck Down. You know, they had the For the People record, right?
Which was later, Later. It still was
they didn't have a record first, then solos, then reunite for another record,
Correct. That's what I think
is unique.
I think, it was never really, I'm not saying, you said it earlier when we started, often imitated, never duplicated. I mean, people attempted to duplicate it, but as we talk about often, on air, outside air, boxing, music, art, you'll never be able to duplicate natural chemistry. And there was something among these 9 or 10 guys and something with RZA's vision. And then because there were all these guys that were Wu-Tang. You have like Pop the Brown Hornet that could have easily been Wu-Tang. And as looked at as Wu-Tang, the guys, guys.
Like Killer Sin, you have,
all these guys were there. What do you talk about? Oh, could have been Priest instead of Master Killer. Or Pop the... remember the GP Wu guys? Pop the Brown Hornet and those guys. Those guys were all there at RZA's apartment when RZA was making the demos. All those demo tapes had a lot of these guys on there. And RZA's telling these guys, look, when they did Protect Your Neck, they didn't even rhyme over that beat. They all rhymed over a different beat.
He punched
and
it
RZA
in
made that afterwards. All these guys, some of these guys that are in the group couldn't see the vision. They were just in the streets. They would go over there, drink and smoke blunts. However it happened. And also what RZA did here, the style on here with the sped up soul samples, like really only Muggs had even tampered in there. And all those Kanye records,
Yeah. And the reverse
The
stuff, like
the reverse
soom,
stuff, the
soom.
pitching shit
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
the reverse stuff, that's all those Just Blaze and Kanye records that people loved, that's all directly correlated to here.
Right.
I don't care if they say it or not. I'm telling you that's where they got
Right.
it. The only
Sure.
person that was on this type time ever at all was Muggs and RZA at this time.
Right.
through the
And I
90s.
mean,
This-
they're two of the top, 10 guys that have ever done this.
yeah, man.
There you go. Got it.
You have to understand what this guy was doing, man. And I spoke on one show about the ASR. RZA was using Mad Machines because at this point you have the budget to, you know what I mean? But he
Mhm.
used the ASR. So we mentioned True Master, Fourth, and Deck all did beats. I'm not sure we could stress enough in 1997 dropping singles that had no hooks. How crazy in theory that was,
But
and how
let's also
important
talk.
that was.
Yeah, we'll also talk about the no single thing. But this record was also banned by the biggest hip hop station in the world. They don't want to
Correct.
admit it, but it was. So for those of you guys,
No,
I
because
think-
it looks horrible retrospectively. To have done
horrible.
that.
So two things. Are
Tell them,
horrible.
because as a New Yorker, you should speak on it.
But again, so here's a weird thing though. But you and I just sort of said what we said. Like, what other at the time, this was not this wasn't like bumping in your Jeep. You know what I'm saying? Music. You know what I'm saying? This was what we're doing. Headphones. You know what I'm saying? This is like my buddy Mikey driving with his finger on the
Well,
search
you mean for us,
button.
the three
For
people
us,
on
what
here.
I'm right, but what I'm saying is this is not like what was on Hot 97. Like what was on Hot 97 was like R&B, was exactly what they were shitting on, rapping bullshit. Mother Goose, Dr. Seuss, you know what I mean? When RZA goes,
of course, of course.
So Ghostface says they're on tour with Rage Against the Machine, which I had the pleasure of seeing that tour at the old Meadowlands. By the way, I went to that, and I've told you a million times I don't like stadium shows. That shit was wild.
Mm-hmm.
It was dope. They get, I forgot the trajectory. It goes Summer Jam. They leave the tour with Rage, which they said was a mistake, to go on Summer Jam.
Is that the fuck Hot 97 situation? When
Yeah.
Who says it? It was Ghost?
Ghost. Yeah. Ghost just goes off because they left
Which
the
led
tour
to
and then they
years.
right.
Yeah.
Then they then they got left.
So guys, there's still
they got
contention
left
among
off
them
of
leaving the
Summer Jam.
tour.
Right.
There's still contention amongst all of those guys of leaving the Rage Against the Machine tour. Me personally, again, this is with hindsight. Because I was a wild dude. I've done some dumb shit. Billy was there for some of it. You know what I mean? We could have been kicked off Rock the Bells because of that shit I pulled that we spoke about last episode. 2 episodes ago. Episode 1, I guess. You can't do that.
So
man.
this is what
Rage
happened.
Against the Machine is one
So
of the
they-
biggest thing in the world.
Right. So real quick, I was incorrect how I described this. I don't want people to yell at me in the comments. So the cause of the ban was that they left the Rage tour, and the 1997 Summer Jam, the station forced the group to pay their own travel and perform for free on Summer Jam. They didn't pay them because I guess they weren't at every day of Summer Jam, and Ghostface yells "fuck Hot 97" during Summer Jam.
Guys, the move, this is at a time where playing that is viewed as being a very important thing for your career. Now,
Right.
meaning Summer Jam. A lot of massive things, good, bad, and indifferent, have happened at Summer Jam. Brendan can tell you that. The Jay-Z
And by the way,
pulling
it's
up
2
the
months
picture
after the
of-
record came out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the summer. It's July or something, or July or August. But when Jay-Z dissed Prodigy and dissed Nas and pulled up the pictures, that was at Summer Jam, guys, years later. But this is like a big deal in New York and for Hot 97. And you have to kiss their ass. You have to play ball in order to play ball. and it's looked at this massive thing. I don't know to this day who suggested that, was it their management? Was it divine? Was it power? Was it someone more up this, was it someone
They
bigger
talk
than
about
that?
it in the documentary.
There's no way
that
there's no way
they
you
didn't realize how big Rage was.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and that's someone's fault. That's not that you have
Correct.
to you have to you always have to understand, and it's something I've had to do if I'm on a festival here or overseas, especially overseas, where I go, who's this? And humble yourself, and a lot was
Right.
going on here during this album amongst the group. The tensions were high at this point, guys. Some guys don't even have a record out as far as the
Right.
solo members, including Cat,
Well,
who
like-
have 10 people, okay?
Right.
But you got 9 guys, and how many of them came out? 4 or 5? So it goes Meth, Ray,
Jizza,
Dirt Dog,
Dirty.
Jizza, Ghost. So we have 5 records drop, and you're on the second go round, and some guys didn't even come out yet. And it's supposed to drop in 96. So now tensions are high of, well, I want more money for X, Y, and Z. Why is this still, why is the
Right.
pay scale this? Why is so all of that's going in here. And then this tour, like you said in the documentary, I don't remember what was said in regards to walking off of this Rage tour. Rage is the biggest fucking thing in the world at this point. That second,
Right.
Rage record is
Yeah.
this is
Dominating the charts.
And you have dudes. It's similar to you had dudes that Kurt was making fun of on Nevermind. He's the one who likes all our pretty songs, and he likes to shoot his gun, and he likes to, he don't know what it means. And those kids are now playing it. That's what's happening with Rage. Everyone that they are anti that De La Roca was talking about on the Inside Out shit,
Right.
and the Beyond records, him and Morello are talking about on these records, and those kids are now buying it. The jock kids are now going to their shows and starting fights in the pit because they don't know what's happening here.
Right.
So there's also
They don't realize that they're the
level
machine.
No, they don't. They still don't now.
They still don't
They
now.
still don't now. The people that play their records and are also bigots and MAGA guys, and they're playing those records. They don't. I'm not getting political. It's not. This isn't a political show. I'm just saying, no matter how you slice it, that's ironic. I don't care what part of the aisle you're on. A MAGA dude playing Rage is ironic, no matter how you slice it. I'm sorry, it just is. It's not. I don't make the rules.
I
just
concur.
abide by them. You know what I'm saying? So don't get mad if you're that kind of guy. I'm just telling you that's the rules. I didn't make them. It's ironic that you're playing guys who are, sort of worship Che Guevara and democratic socialism, and you're playing that in the car with a MAGA hat. I don't make those rules, guys. And I don't know how you don't know that. I don't know how RZA, I don't know how Divine isn't going. This is the best look ever in the world for us.
We're gonna reach
Stay
X,
the
Y, and
course.
Z. I think, Vinny, from what they've explained, and they said we would have sold 10 million records because guys, Hot 97.
Do either you or Billy know
he-
how many shows they made? How long did it make it?
I don't know. Bill, can you look that up?
8,
The
9?
Wu-Tang Rage
It
tour?
wasn't a lot, right?
Right. It
Was
was
everyone who says
and I got to
they
catch it.
saw it? Yeah, everyone that says that, I'm like, do you know that you're lucky or no? Because do you know that
This
fell
was,
apart? I don't
so
know how much of a part of lore this has
I'd
become.
been to obviously going to hardcore shows and shit. You know what I mean? This was a hardcore show at the Meadowlands, if that makes sense.
Right.
This is guys
it does.
like the pit. Now I'd been to 4 Lollapaloozas, Rage being one of them I was at.
Right.
Those were wild. Did you go to those?
Well, hold on,
did
Brandon.
you
You
go to
also
Lollapalooza?
have to explain. No, I was very anti that idea at that
Festival?
point when Perry started
Yeah.
it. Very.
Right.
I had all of these reasons as to
remember
why.
I went to Sonic Youth.
They're all
So
hypocritical.
we were like Sonic Youth and Cypress Hill on the same show with the Far Side on the second stage. You know what I mean? Like at the height of Far Side, like on Randall's Island. This is dope. When I was,
but you
14
have to
years old.
understand, B, you already had an understanding, and you already had your hand stamped. You weren't like, what's going on now when kids started dancing in the pit?
Yeah.
A huge portion
like
of these acts that got huge.
Yeah.
There were jocks there not knowing the culture and that this is you help somebody up if they get knocked down.
Right.
There are rules to the game, guys, that were happening at places like CBGB's, happening at places like Revival in Philly. There is a culture of dancing. There are dudes that would pick up nickels off the ground as part of there were styles. There were dudes there were dudes I knew.
Shout out to
there
Craig
was an
Satari.
Asian kid at shout out Craig ahead.
Yeah.
There was an Asian kid at City Gardens who was like the illest, and he would do kung fu moves like in the pit.
Right.
These meathead kids were coming in and throwing
dances
punches.
in the Sick of It All video. Remember their video where they
the
Craig
black
is
and white video.
one of the dancers. Yeah, Craig's one of the guys dancing in that. Yeah.
Yes.
So this was like legit
guys,
hardcore show pits.
But you're merging
saw
cultures, and those jock kids were showing up in these situations and getting stomped out. Now, because of the
one thing that was the amount, this is where I realized Wu-Tang had a reach that I didn't really realize, was like the sort of hardcore kids adjacent that were there to see Rage were singing along to Wu-Tang songs. You know what I mean?
They lasted 11 shows, by the way.
13. 11 shows.
I was going to say 8 or 9. So, okay. 11 out of 13. I actually, I thought it was planned as like a 40 dates and then Europe. I think that was the intended plan. Like if these go the way we expect them to go, this is going to become a thing and we're going to be out for 2 years. That is what I heard. Then.
Me too. And let's be realistic. They screwed Rage, by leaving and sort of like abandoning a tour.
If we're talking retrospectively, 10 dudes from the projects getting 4 years before falling apart, it's a pretty good run. Yeah. If we say this is when things started going south, by that I don't mean quality of music. You know what I mean? I mean when people start having gripes in Wu-Tang and people start doing interviews and people start saying X, Y, and Z. Now, we're not, our intent on this show never is to be gossip queens or rip open scars.
No, it starts to do this, a bunch of guys.
We don't do that shit here, but we're saying,
no.
Yeah, there's a little bit of finger pointing at this point now, not because of failure, because of successes, which does it too.
Right.
Failures will destroy groups, and so will successes. Now people are going, yo, my guy, I did 2 million on my record. You barely got gold. I want this when we perform. Because no way are we splitting this 10 ways even. Those type of things. And you could say, well, they're not wrong. So again, we're not opening up old wounds on this show. We don't gossip because we're not bitches.
I learned from... I think it was I had subscriptions to, I think I told you this, to Vibe, to The Source, you know what I mean? To like everything at that point in my life when I was like 16. So I was just absorbing it all, because I of course love underground rap music, but I've told you this, this about me. You know me for 100 years now. I don't shy away from mainstream stuff too. There's good mainstream shit. You know what I mean? I love like features on, like, I don't necessarily agree with RZA and GZA. I like features on R&B songs. You know what I mean? Remember that whole thing for like 3 years where like, it would be like the, like a short verse, rap verse at the top and the bottom of like an R&B
like an
song.
8 and then an 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I remember
of course,
Nas did a
High
song
Five.
with Allure.
Pooh and Mary, those records were incredible.
Incredible.
So
Biggie and Mary. They got you
Smith and Wesson and Mary.
Yeah. So she knows her shit. I just saw an interview with her, but I think it was Vibe magazine.
She's ahead.
She's ahead. So I think it was Vibe magazine. I think. Bill, what's our email?
Mailbag at popthetrunkpod.com.
So if you guys know it better than me, write us at mailbag@popthetrunkpod.com. Where RZA breaks down like the pay scale and the points of each record, like what he takes, what they take, how it works. And I literally, like, reading those magazines taught me, like, oh, that's how they get paid. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, he gets a
right.
point for this, 2 points for that, you know, and then
Yeah, and there was
and then-
contention amongst them because of that. What is fair?
yeah,
And then you start saying to yourself, and this is something I've had to deal with in my life. With Divine and RZA and how they handled these things that you read about is, yo, you guys, none of you had your shit together when we were in the projects. You would disappear for months at a time. I got your verse here. I got your verse here. When RZA was doing this record, bro, most of these vocals on Wu-Tang Forever are one takes. Because dudes were being pulled in so many different directions. Meth is a star now. You know, Meth is in movies now, which is a great thing for him. Ray and Ghost are blowing up. You know, Jizz is doing hit. Everyone that had solo records out is getting pulled. They're doing features, like these aforementioned features. If some R&B act offers you 50, remember the Jodeci remix with Ray and Ghost?
Yeah.
You know, so what was the bag from a major at that time? 50K, 100K in a brown paper bag. You're going over there to get that. So he's pulling guys in and piecing this record together. They're doing one take and they're out. You know?
Right. Yeah.
They rented that spot
I
to
saw
do
that.
some of the record in LA. You know, and it's MTV painted it as we rented this house to do a record and it was all done here, which is not the case. You know, it's nice to the eye to do it that way, you know, but guys
we're
were
all
coming
just
in
gonna
and
bunk
out.
up. Yeah.
Right. Like, guys, that's how you view it, you know, and they were in this
Right.
nice mansion that
Like, good
overlooked
morning, Method Man.
Hollywood
You know what I
sign.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
right, like,
exactly.
yeah,
No, you were there
yeah.
for a week doing that, guys. Stop.
Right.
You know, not
Like,
even
no,
that
like,
it was
like,
there.
like
intent. It
Raekwon
was
Dexter
MTV's
chefing
intent.
in the kitchen. He's making everybody French toast
Yeah,
in the morning.
yeah,
You know what I
yes.
mean?
Exactly. Guys are in their pajamas. Like, stop the madness. This isn't how, you know.
In their feety pajamas, writing verses about killing people.
Right. Right. So it goes 4 times platinum, which they set off this tour. They would have sold 10 million records. I believe they would have. You know, I don't
No
don't
radio
know how
play,
you
4 times platinum.
But you're right. Guys, I don't think you'll ever understand what it is to wrangle 10 guys that all have different shit going on. Yo, I'm not giving you anything now, but come through and do your verse. And another person is calling you going, yo, the label, Motown, they have 150K for you in a brown bag to do this verse for a Jodeci record.
Right.
Which one
Well,
does
Vin-
a kid in his 20s take?
Vin, yeah, you also got to say it. You're wrangling 10 lead singers. You're not
Correct.
wrangling 10 band members. It's 10 lead singers. You're not saying like, all right, you play the trumpet, you play the drums,
Right.
you get the keyboardist. This is 10 lead acts, which is
But check this.
like
You're 24
my
years
head.
old. Right. No, imagine that, bro. Imagine 10 John Lennons and McCartneys. I
and
think
how
it's
long were they
crazy
together?
that there were 2 of them in a group. I think that 2 people that brilliant, let alone George, as
Who's
a
my favorite?
songwriter. Ringo, I think Ringo's a brilliant drummer. And I don't think any drummer could have done what he did, but he wasn't the songwriter of those 3. The chances
Right.
of those, the chances of those 3 finding each other are, to say they're 1 in a billion, meaning
Right.
the Beatles. So you got 10 of those guys now. But what I'm saying is, yo, these guys were 24 years old from the projects while this is happening. And your points or whatever they are, there's no money to go do a verse. Then this is all seeing the vision of RZA and what this is going to be. And someone goes, we have 100K for you in cash to go do this remix.
Yeah.
Look, if you're short-sighted and you don't see the forest, the woods for the trees, you're like, I'm gonna go do this, and you miss that session. So now that song's not completed. So now RZA, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm waiting on him to come through because he went through and did a Mariah Carey remix. Because Dirty went and did a Mariah Carey remix instead of coming here and doing his vocals for this. You know, and that has to be looked at when you're dissecting this album and how the fuck did they finish 26 or 27 songs?
It's insane.
And how to make it a double album, knowing that after you did the album and you've done 5 solo ones and you know you're chasing guys around. You know?
I wonder what RZA's anxiety level was turning that into Loud. You know what I mean? Like, here, this is it.
Yeah, and what was Steve Rifkin doing? What were those convos like?
Had to be panicking, right?
I have days locked in, and then you miss that. You know, bro, it was supposed to drop in the 4th quarter where everything huge drops.
Right.
It's supposed to drop in the 4th quarter of 96. So you get that Christmas holiday, Hanukkah money. Everyone's got, what's it called? Money to spend. Everyone's got disposable income in those months. It's why you see majors. You'll always notice major acts drop in November and December. Yeah. If you wanted to know why, that's why. So they missed that.
So they have to wait till after tax time.
Yes, to summer. Now you're trying to add the biggest record of the summer, which is cool. But missing that 4th quarter, I know Steve Rifkin was having a fucking breakdown.
And then
he's
what
putting
we
all
talked about before. Then Biggie, they drop a double record before your double record.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So now it's like...
And it's huge. It's massive. And Mace is blowing up, and Puff is blowing up as a solo artist, and they're running the radio. So now you're running up against that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I just...
And there's no competition. There's no other radio station. There's no PAL 105 at that time. That's it. It's Hot 97.
No.
It's the only game in town.
So how are you... right. So, and how are you even beginning to tackle the fact that the guy that gave you all this money and now gave you all this freedom to make this record, because it was a shoestring budget to do 36 Chambers.
Right.
Now you have the freedom and you have a studio, your own studio that you were able to build with the money from this. And Steve Rifkin's got gold records in Mobb Deep, gold records in Raekwon, but he's dumping all that money back into this because he thinks this can be the thing that makes Loud, you know, the biggest indie in the world.
A major player. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes, guys, they have the deal through RCA. So it's not an indie in that sense. They have RCA distribution on Smash at this point.
Right.
But he has all of this money, millions tied up in this record, and they're going, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. And it's supposed to be delivered way before that. And there can be no, well, here's the day we're going to send it to you delivery like I could do with my solo stuff because I'm controlling it. Because there's 10 guys that are all factors in him saying, well, I can't tell you Tuesday because I don't know if this guy's going to show up.
Right. Right. And then when do you make the decision to cut somebody? You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Too late.
At any point, he's never discussed this. At any point, was it like, I guess it's not going to be a double album anymore?
Right.
Look, we have 19 joints done. There's 7 or 8 that are half done.
Now, does the label go, wait a second, you're doing a double album? Are they like, no one does double rap albums?
I think Rifkin's horny for it because of the money that it can generate if and when it sells. So you can get this across the finish line. He's horny for it. But if you can't get it across the line, what does it matter?
In any genre, prominent double record prior to that would what be? Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion. But that was sold as 2 separate albums.
Yeah, and they released it as 2. So what? Exactly.
It's not really a double record.
Exactly. You released it as 2.
It's just ballsy.
It's ballsy on mad levels, man, because I know RZA's line of thinking was, we're fucking cooking with grease over here creatively. We got money in our pockets. We got show money in our pockets. We're doing Wu-Tang shows, but we're also doing solo shows, you know? And at that time, this thing was huge, Brendan. Billy, you know what this is like too with managing, but we never really did it as much, Billy, but you know it exists. B, where you're not touring, but you're doing these little things like, yo, I'll slide through Club Fever and do my 3 joints, and they give you 10 grand in cat. Like, guys, that was a huge thing back then. And it's still kind of big in that world of, say, guys like B, you know, guys like Gucci Mane and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, he'll pop up in Atlanta and do 3 shows and be like, yo, they gave me 25 grand and it's in cash. There used to be a thing, you know what I mean? It wasn't so much in our world, and it's not. What I could equate it to is me popping out and doing a couple festivals, you know? But it's still this thing where, like, urban clubs that are throwing it, you know, and there's mad pretty girls there and da-da-da, you know, like picture Vegas, guys, but anywhere. And you slide through. That was a huge thing for acts that were hardcore, Brandon, like Onyx, you know, but sold records. Brand Nubian, yo, pop out and get 10K to do a one show where it wasn't a tour. So you would see, like, you know, those guys all love popping out to Philly. So maybe Bobby Dance would slide Ray 10 grand at the height of Cuban Links, but it wasn't a tour. It would just be like, tonight, Raekwon, and you would hear on Power 99, you know, all those commercials.
Yeah. Like a couple
that
flyers.
Was a huge thing, guy. Right, but it wasn't a tour. You guys have to understand that. But
just a one-off.
Maybe, Connecticut, New Haven, the Boston area, down to Baltimore. So they would have like 6, 7, 8, 9 drivable markets. You know, and you're getting 10, 15 a clip for them, and then you're back home. So that money's good. The money's starting to come in from the solo records and from Enter the 36 Chambers, because you have to wait to get paid for all that because you borrowed all this money against yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So I can't imagine. I think creatively he said, we're cooking with grease. We just knocked out, including 36 Chambers, like 6 records in 18 months, 24 months. We can do this easy. We got mad songs. Then the flood happens. How much did that affect oh shit, we were doing a double album and we just lost. I think he lost, I think RZA alone lost like 200 to 300 beats.
Jesus Christ.
And then Deck lost all his beats. And his
Never
album.
happen again with the Cloud.
Can you imagine though? Imagine that?
No.
How those dudes kept trucking. Like, shout out these dudes for not just being like, fuck this. Fuck this.
No,
We got paid. We're all going to go our own separate ways and try to rebuild however we see fit. That, you know? But for Deck to reconstruct everything is so fucking crazy.
Vin, I was going to say earlier, to bring things full circle with the talk about Rage Against the Machine and how that went down. Rock the Bells 2007, it says, was the first time that they got back on the same tour, which was the 3, if you remember, 3 shows. It was co-headliner Rage and Wu. And it said that was the first time that they performed with Rage again. Then that was what? How long?
Yeah,
later?
I think
10 years.
I think it was Chang's vision to have it a decade later and sort of bring the people that
together.
You know, because they didn't do all the shows, right, Billy?
Rage was only at 3, and then Wu-Tang was the headliner for every other show.
Right, and Nas and Cypress, but those guys were on every one.
And
Nas, Cypress. I can't think of the whole lineup now. Do you have it in front of you, Billy? I don't have it in front of me.
I can.
That my brother has the framed stuff. It's like the tickets, the poster that Chang presented us with. Remember that? I got to
Yeah,
get
I
that
have
back
that,
from my
actually.
brother. I gave it for.
I have it.
Oh, you got it back from my brother
We got it to use it as like a prop somewhere, and then I
at the
ended up with it.
office. Yeah, my brother
Yep.
had in his man cave be for mad years, like the Wu-Tang and us and
That's
Rage.
dope.
You know,
Rage
they
Against
framed
the
it for us,
Machine.
like with the
Yeah,
ticket,
it's dope.
with the poster,
Yeah.
with the laminate, like a really nice. Like he paid a lot of money
Yeah.
for together each for the artist. You know what I mean? But yeah, I got to
So
get
it
that
was-
back from Billy.
Rage Against the Machine was on 3 of the shows, and then it was Wu-Tang, Cypress Hill, Erykah Badu, Rakim, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Doom, Pharaoh Monch, Immortal Technique, Boot Camp Click, Jedi Mind Tricks, and then it went on to like the other stages.
So they
Brother
didn't put
Ali,
Nas on those
Cage, Mr.
posters.
Lift.
Okay.
No,
so
because
they
if I
didn't put
remember
Nas on those-
correctly, he wasn't at every show. He kind of like, I don't remember
He
the
pulled
deal
up
there.
in the Rari in Atlanta, B. Him and Khalees.
Oh, yeah?
I remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah, he was in Miami. He was in Atlanta, which is a weird place to bring this, B. We don't want to get too off topic, but a real
Public
hardcore
Enemy.
rap rooted show to bring to Atlanta. I was like,
Yeah,
this. Look, I'm nobody, Billy, right? I'm nobody, so I kept my mouth quiet, B. You feel me? In terms of like, I wanted to step to Chang and be like, some of these markets, bro, I know you're trying to do what you're trying to do and make this thing be a even longer tour, meaning like we're going all summer, build it into that. Because remember we were in Dallas when we stole that. What did we steal? The Native American, John?
The statue.
It was a statue, right?
Yeah.
So security starts looking for the statue, B. It's gone. There was this Native
But
American
we were tight
backstage.
with the lead security guy.
Well, DJ and brother Muhammad Islam were head security, and they come in and they're like, they told us there was a statue missing. We knew where to go, and that he was backstage, and we had him dressed up. We put gear on him.
So the
and like a
statue was
chain.
returned.
Yeah, but the first show, DJ, this big ass fucking security guard goes up to Vinny. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I was in fucking wars and I had fucking Violent by Design on my fucking body armor." He's
And
like,
they
"We would
showed us
fucking
the
blow
pics.
shit up from tanks and we'd fucking blast."
His whole
Violent
unit
by
had Violent
Design.
by Design on their helmets, and John's, their
So we could
chest
do whatever. We could
pieces.
get away with things.
Oh.
Yeah, and then he
So
was
where
black.
The
he was
statue was
Blackwater,
returned?
big. Well, our plan
okay.
was to take the statue, but we didn't want them
It's-
to have to deal with any trouble. So as soon as it started, we didn't think anyone was going to look for that statue,
Right.
but pretty early on, they had decided the statue.
Did we cut that from the
went missing.
documentary? Did that make it in? I know there's footage
No,
of
it's
us,
in there. We're
like-
playing the Benny Hill music.
Right,
We
right.
got to save this for a future episode on here.
Yeah, we
can
do,
use
we
some of
do.
that
So-
footage.
Yeah, so we were on tour with Wu a decade after this album. I had worked with those guys previously. We hung out with You God a lot on the tour, so that'll be a good.
Mhm.
He wanted to hang with the
That's cool.
Paisans, Yui. So we'll talk about that in a future. We'll talk about that in a future episode, guys. What are your thoughts about going back to this record, almost 30 years after it dropped, and how were you? Were you listening to it with a smile on your face, Big? Did it bring back memories of high school and the friends that
It did.
probably
so
some
that,
friends that are gone now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's some stuff that I'm not going to talk about on the show just because it's a little hard for me to talk about that directly coincides with this record.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was like that. I'm not an adult yet. Summer going into my senior year of high school. You know what I mean? And a lot of my buddies were a year or two older than me, and my grade and the grade above me were very, very, very close. This record to me is like my group of friends. People go their separate ways after high school.
Yes.
This was like the last hurrah for all of us through high school. This record, that summer, playing this record nonstop, summer in '97. Guys go their separate ways after high school. Somebody joins the military, somebody goes to college, someone does this, someone does that. So that's what this record means to me. Was that summer? I'll never forget that summer before my senior year of high school, because it was our giant group of friends together, all the time, and this record did. The length of the record meant a lot because it was like the more time you spent with your friends. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, from front to back, you're gonna listen to the whole thing.
I think something we all agree on is for it to be this good and be a double record is crazy.
It's crazy.
You're trimming
Crazy.
so much fat as a fan when you're listening to this stuff. We talked about, there's a bunch of stuff I skip on Life After Death, and I go, wow, think of what this would have been as a single record.
Yeah.
It would be ready. It would be better than Ready to Die.
Sure.
If they trimmed it. That is when you get greedy and wanting to put a double album out for money purposes backfires, you know? But I don't think a lot of the world thinks that, B. I think that's our personal taste.
Yeah, I mean,
I think maybe a lot of people don't skip those joints that we think are terrible.
yeah, it's really only
Like,
like
I
two.
think there's terrible things on Life After Death.
Okay.
I think there's 3 or 4 things that are terrible.
That's another episode.
Yeah, it is.
Gotta do that.
See, I have an opposite feeling because at that time for me, like I'm about to go into high school and it was different. I was like discovering this kind of music by myself. So it brings me back to my basement with headphones on,
That's
listening
lit.
to it alone and
Yeah.
figuring out, you know, like it almost felt like I shouldn't be listening to this, but like I can't stop.
Yeah.
And then getting to high school after that and finding the people who agreed with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
of
like,
course. That's
so
why
I was kind of doing this on my own at this point.
that's why this was so interesting to do of an episode to do, because I already had a record out. So it's like
Yeah.
we have to talk about records that are though, and how it affected me in terms of already being an MC, already having influences established, already, you know. And
Well, what did that do for you in terms of when you heard this? Were you like, I gotta sharpen my sword?
I was more influenced by the fact that they just dropped a single with no hook.
Mhm.
You mentioned earlier, oh yeah, there'll just be a verse in the middle of something. There were rules that you couldn't break on this level, and they broke all of them.
Right, like they'll have like dog shit features. It's not listed as featuring Method Man, but like there's just a punch in with Method Man where it's like stinking ass hoes. You know what I mean? Like,
All of the rules that they broke, the stuff that RZA was doing.
I
The
wonder if
shit
it,
that,
I wonder if it's a lot of it too is because of what you said. You know, like this guy's only here for this amount of time. I'm gonna just I got this one line recorded. You know what I mean? I love the way he says "stankin' ass hoes." I gotta
yeah,
figure
I mean,
out
like I said,
where to put that.
most of the vocal takes were 1 or 2 takes because the availability of everyone trying to get the bag, you know,
Right.
and not wanting to turn down money, which is what you should do. You get the bag when it's there. But this guy, oh, he's doing a show. He's doing this. He's working on a solo record. And I think there was a tremendous amount of creative juices flowing. And it seemed like we could do a double album, no problem,
Right.
you know? And it
Yeah.
ended up being a brilliant piece of art, you know? And it ended up being really seemingly the last. It's certainly not the last Wu-Tang album, and it's not the last good Wu-Tang album, but
Right.
it's seemingly the last cohesive, we are a
Cohesive.
group. It
Yeah.
seems like everything was a nightmare to get it together after that. You know, again, no shade on saying that things weren't great. I love the W. I love, you know, there's
Black
great
Flag.
stuff on everything after it. But as friends from the projects that grew up together, I think this is the last hurrah for that era of the group. And the introduction of we all have our own managers now. We all are our own entity now. You know, we're recording separately. Again, these aren't bad things. It just changes. It just
They're
does.
just things.
They're just things that happen. You know, and it's probably how they view it. Oh, that was the last Smoke Blunts and Drink Henny together album.
Yeah.
Or we were all in there when we did this. You know what I mean? Like sessions, not all of them, but some sessions where they were together. That's probably they probably view it as that. I never really asked them, specifically. I've talked to those guys about things, but I never specifically asked them. The recording process to this, it would be, it's we know what we know about it, and we talked about what we know about it, and I think the flood was a major thing, and it was probably, as awful as it was, also a victory to get this record across the finish line after having the flood. But yeah, this is one of the last important records for me that I shared daily with my man, who ended up getting locked up the fall after this and doing 18 years. So like you said, with some of your high school friends, who this was the last thing, and then Billy going into high school with it, like, oh, you listen to Wu-Tang. It's
the last hurrah of Billy's childhood, and the last hurrah of like my big group of friends. And for you, it marks your friend going away for a long time. And
yeah, and I think of me saying, so we don't have to abide by the rules anymore.
Right.
Which leads into us dropping that record independently and selling them out the trunk or drop shipping them to distribution, because we're getting them pressed up. We didn't even have a P&D, which is pressing and distribution. Yeah. We're paying with the money we made from the Amber Pro single, the 12-inch that we released in 96. As that money is coming in, we're just putting that back in to press the Psychosocial. And I'm going, well, these guys pressed Protect Your Neck in 92 out of the trunk. And now they're doing double albums via Loud through RCA, and they're rock stars, and they just made a record that makes no sense commercially. None.
Right.
And it went gold in the first week. Right. So is there something to be learned from that? Yeah, I think so. Let's carry on with what we're doing.
Yeah. All right.
Very cool. Good topic, Brendan.
I was bullied. I was a good, when you have an older brother and they beat you up, and then when you're bitching about it later, they say something like, I made you the man you are, or something like that. That's what you guys are doing. You're bullying me into topics. Guys, if you want to have ideas of what you want us to talk about, we're open to listen to everything. Doesn't mean we will. We're open to listen to everything. Mail, we're open to listen to everything and read mail. Where can
I
they
think we're
write
going
us?
to read some mail in a near episode, maybe from the outset, because it's tough to get them in at the end of an episode with topics like these.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I wonder if that's something we should talk about. I guess not on air, off air.
Right.
Do we want to start shows with mail, because it could lead into a
topic
of itself.
Right.
We go in with a topic and then the mail goes on for 2 hours. Then, that's a show.
That's
what
a
I'm
show.
saying? I feel with being Brendan a Yakirones that can and will happen.
You ain't got to go to summer school. Just pick up the Wu-Tang double CD. That's all the education you need.
Right. Where can they find the IG?
Instagram can be found at popthetrunk.pod. And as we talked about questions, best place is to send that to mailbag at popthetrunkpod.com. And then also a little breaking news. I think I sent it to you guys only hours ago. We do have an official shirt up on the store. That's at jmthiphop.com, jmtstore.com. We have a Pop the Trunk podcast shirt featuring the brand new logo by the one and only Shane, our boy.
Shane's the best.
So we'll put a link out for that as well if you guys want to cop some t-shirts.
Should we? Yeah, you can find me at the Killer B24 on Twitter. at Brendan Long KEOTB on IG.
Yeah, R.I.P. Power, R.I.P. Robert Carradine.
Oh yeah.
You can find me at Vinnie_Paz on Twitter, at Box Cutter Pazzi on IG, JMT Store, as Billy said, for the Pop the Trunk shirts and music related merch, vinyl, CD, cassettes, all of that. JMTstore.com. Billy, where can they find you?
Billy_Bindlesticks on Instagram.
All right,
Carrying
y'all.
those sticks.
Uh-huh. Sticks. What is it? Is your nickname with a Z?
Wow, yeah, that's hot. The Z at the
Yeah.
ends.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Billy, say goodnight.
Good night, Billy.